Hey everyone, welcome to this Facebook Live here every Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time. The topic today is how to fill events, how to get your team for network marketers to events. My name is Bess McCarty. I am coach and founder of the MLM Millionaire Club School for Network Marketers, making network marketing simple. The best continuous education support that I know of in this profession. And so today is the skill number 7 of the 7 skills that Eric Worre talks about in his GoPro book. This is my much worn and loved copy. Hello, Julie. Welcome. Welcome back to this show. So we have covered so far the 7 skills, one show for each of the 7 skills, which are finding people to talk to, inviting them to look at your product or business, presenting, follow up, signing them up, getting them started right, and now getting them to events. So this is the number 7 of that 7 series in a row. And what I'm going to do today of course is how to get people to events. So what I'm going to do is share with you some really cool ideas. I think this is a real creative thing. You can really have a lot of fun and play with this, how to get people to events. So I'm going to share with you some cool ideas, and then I'm going to bring my good friend on, Jeff Gamble, who will give us more ideas, and then we will take questions and answers from everybody. So if you do have a question, you can go ahead and type that in, or a thought about that. And hello, Ronan. Hello, everybody. Hey, if you're watching the replay, please type in replay so that I can thank you for that. And if you are a network marketing professional, please type in pro, because I want to congratulate you for that. And if you know someone who could benefit from this, please tag them so that your team or other friends can learn too. So jumping right in, hello Michael. Hello everybody, so glad you're here. Thank you for the likes and loves. I guess I can wave to you all and say hi and howdy. And Julie says she's really pro. She didn't just type pro, she put really. I'm proud of you. Thank you, because that means to me that you're helping people. So I'm proud of you, and thank you for all that you do, everybody. I know that's why you're here, why you're watching. So okay, then, and she's tagging people, yes, because we want to help as many people as I can. So, how to fill events? Let's jump right in. Events, it's just a fact. Meetings make money. And this number 7 skill is the highest paid skill in network marketing. And the most powerful and beneficial of any event is the destination event. I learned from Eric Worre that research shows that you make on average of $1,000 for every distributor that you get to a destination event. That's over time. So why are they so important? Well, especially the destination events, they get away from distractions so they can be totally immersed and totally focused on it. They get ideas from other millionaire earners. So strategies. Attendees get social proof from each other to validate them and their profession. They get to recharge their batteries. They get that support from like-minded people. And also it provides the opportunity for recognition. Somehow we all get nourished by that, don't we? So how to get your team to events? I encourage you to always speak about what's in it for them. Have your front lines, goals, and dreams posted on your refrigerator, in your mind or whatever, on your desk, on your computer, so that whenever you speak to them, you can always speak from those dreams. And I like to use the word so you can. So you can. Let's all get to this event. Let's all bring 5 people on our team to this event. So you can, Jim. So you can be home with your kids. So you can retire your wife so she can be home with the kids and work from home. So you can travel the world like you want to do. So you can build schools in Africa. You know, let's all lock arms and get to this event. So you can do all the things that are your dream. So remember that phrase, so you can. That's a powerful one. I learned that from a coach that I had. So when you get people to events, once they're there, they realize, I can do this. let the events work for you, do the heavy lifting for you. Just get them there and watch the magic happen. I know I've always had breakthroughs when I go to destination events. And I, of course, am no longer in a company, a network marketing company, but I was full-time for years, helped me be a single mom and raise my son from home. And I still go to destination events like Eric Worre's Go Pro and other ones. And so I always have a breakthrough. I always have a huge, powerful change and shift in me that lasts a long time when I get back. And Julie says yes. Well, thank you all for your likes and loves. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to type in where you're from, I do enjoy seeing where everybody's from, so I'd love to hear that. And also, your favorite emoji, post that. That would be fun to see too. So remember that the more that you speak about an event, the more that people will expect from it and benefit from it. Now, what's the difference between announcing an event and promoting an event? Well, promoting means being relentless. You talk about it constantly. When one event's over, you're talking about the next one already. On every call that you have, whether it's a private call or a group call, every time that you talk with a team member, mention the event and how everybody's going to get to that. You can have a call or a webinar with some speakers from the event, or you can get your team to attend one if it's a real huge one that your company's putting on. That always generates a lot of interest. You can have a contest for the people on your team that buy the first ticket to the event, or the first plane ticket, or the first hotel reservation. And you can have a Facebook group and announce the winners of this, who's first, or the first 5, or the first 10. You can have a contest for the people who bring the most people to the event. And you might have a special lunch for the people that have the biggest team that you all could meet, and you could have a speaker, whether it's yourself or maybe a company speaker, address that group as a prize for getting the most people there. I just love all these cool ideas. So you tell your story. That's one of the most powerful ways that you can generate that excitement. Hey Jeff, welcome. We're going to bring you on in just a minute here, sharing a couple of ideas. So when you tell your story about an event, tell about how you felt, what you experienced. That's really, really powerful. And the breakthroughs that you may have had, and any results that you had afterward. Did you increase your income? Did you jump a rank? Did you add so many people to your team afterward as a result of being at that event? And collect other stories so that you can tell it too. Remember, when you tell your story, that you're telling yours, don't buy their story. Their excuses, that is. And I love what Margie Elaprandi said one time. I love this. I'm going to just read it. If you believe they must be there, and your belief is stronger than their belief that they're too busy, your belief will trump. He with the strongest belief wins. Don't you love that? So, if number 1, you commit, I'll be there. And number 2, bring your team. Will you be there? And then reward them. So let's bring on Jeff, because I always learn a lot from Jeff Gamble. We've been teaching together. Jeff Gamble is with My Leadership Network and does a lot of generic training with me, including he's a mentor of the MLM Millionaire Club. And I always love taking notes and learning from him. From his experiences too. So Jeff's going to bring you on here. Invite you on. It's going to be little up there in the screen because I can't get mine to do a side-by-side, but it's coming on, adding. So love to hear. Remember to write, type in replay if you guys are watching the replay. Love to hear where you're from if you type that in. Also, if you have a question or an insight, be sure to type that in. There he is.
Not a problem. How you doing?
Mr. Gamble, thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. You only have a million things and businesses running all at once, and Thank you for coming to add insight about how to fill events. We're all
Absolutely.
ears.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So what do we need to go over today?
Well, so far I've covered how that's getting people to events is the highest paid of the 7 skills of network marketing, and how to speak in terms of people's dreams, what's in it for them, how to tell your stories, what the event does for you, why they are so powerful, and how to promote instead of just announce, and how to tell your story and the results that you got and other people have gotten.
Absolutely. So, events really are everything. They're the reason you can make so much money inside of direct sales. And apologize, I'm actually doing this one from the car. We had little problems finding and picking up a rental car, but we found one. So that's what we're live from the rental car. Funny enough, and they're going in to grab some food. So here's kind of my take on events. So the objective is you want to prospect or contact, so that way you can invite, so that way you can present, so that way you can basically answer any questions, follow up. Some people would call it third party there. But once you get those skills done, the last one is a lot of people think the last one's close. I think the fifth skill for me has always been getting people to an event. Now, whether that's any type of event, whether it's a live open house or opportunity meeting, whether that's a training, whether that's a regional, like a Saturday event, or whether that's a national event, even if it's a phone call, kind of like this, just be able to expose people to the industry, to the group of people. Here's what I know. You can't be everything to everybody, but what you can do is the system can be everything to everybody. So if you don't have an event, I like what Eric Worre says. If you don't have these events, you need to build them. So I realized for a long time that I was sitting in a meeting, or I was sitting in somebody's meeting, and I was like, man, this needs to happen. That needs to happen. They should have done this. They should have opened this way. And I heard it for so long, I eventually said, you know what? If you're asking those type of questions, the reason why it's not, going exactly how you want it is because you're the person who's supposed to do it. And eventually I kind of took up the reins and I was like, okay, I'm supposed to launch the meeting, but I don't know how to launch a meeting. Well, you didn't know how to walk, when you were born either. You didn't know how to ride a bike. You didn't know how to drive a car. If you can figure all those things out and go figure out how to get a job and work for somebody, you can certainly figure out how to run an event. And there's some tricks to running events. And this is about getting people to events. So I don't necessarily want to go into a lot of upper training on building and running events, but how do you build in? The key is getting one person there and successfully getting one person to the event. So promotion is, I was told one of the highest paid skills in the world. If you look at, all sports, there's the players, or there's the participants, not the participants, the spectators. The spectators pay a lot to watch, right? If you go to a professional sports game now, you can expect to pay anywhere between $50 up to $500 to watch a professional sports game, and that's not bad, $50 to $500. But if you look at the players are earning, in some cases, millions of dollars. But if you look at the people who fill stadiums, if you look at the people who fill rooms, they're the ones that get paid the highest, the promotion companies. We used to use Don King as an example, but Don King isn't really, I don't know how active he is anymore, but during the 80s and 90s, he was a great example because we used to say, during the lifetime of Mike Tyson earned $500 million from all of his fights. Don King earned more. So I would rather be the promoter than I would the fighter in the ring getting beat up. So that's just kind of what I've learned. Now, how do you do this? You fill one seat, then you fill two. Then watch this. You go from 2 to 4. You go from 4 to 8. And what you want to do is every time you're in an event, you want to double. And if you calculate out these numbers over the course of, let's say, 52 weeks, if you're bringing one person out the first week, 2 the second, then you bring out 4, then you bring out 8. By the end of the year, you have over 1,000 people on your team. Now, that will create a problem. That will create a problem for whoever is running that event. Eventually, you will probably be the person running the event if you do this. But that's kind of what my numbers were, is you want to get to a point where you have 100 people showing up. Now, here's one of the things about events that I learned is the big events. Let's just talk about the big events, the national events. I'm sure your company probably has a national event. What we found is for every big event, you get somebody to. you can calculate out. This is pretty much dead on. $1,000 in income for in general, $1,000 in income for every person you have coming out to the event. So people are like, well, I never want to do network marketing because it's not a sustainable, it's not a predictable blah 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 income. And I'm like, yeah, it is. I mean, it's super predictable if you run it by the numbers of people that you have at the big events. Now, how do you get people to the big events? Here's a couple things. You have to be going first. you can't be like, well, as soon as I have 5 people, then I'm going to sign up. No, you have to sign up first and then be the leader, be the person that gets there first, and then you can draw the people. That was a really hard thing for me. In the beginning, because I was always wanting to do, I was one of those people that always bought the ticket last, ordered last, figured out last, sat in the back of the room. So one of the things that I did is I had to have good meeting etiquette. This is all pointed at you. So good meeting etiquette. If you want people to sit in the room with you, here's some things you need to do. You need to show up early, before the event starts. You need to make sure you always pay. That's a thing that, some people have a problem with. They're like, why would I pay? Here's why you want to pay. Because somebody basically spent the money to rent out the room and they're putting it on their credit card. Now, the corporate doesn't necessarily pay the person usually to do that. So they're doing it out of their own pocket. So they're allowing you to participate in a meeting they're paying for. So if we all participate, then the meeting pays for itself and the leftover money can buy things like equipment, can buy things like PowerPoint, equipment. So that way you've got great slides and great music, a music system. Those things aren't cheap. The lavalier mics, the little mini micro mics, a decent one starts at $400 or $500. The sound system, the soundboard starts at $1,000. The sound, equipment, is another $1,000. So these are things that need to be purchased to be able to run a meeting. A lot of people don't know that's what goes into it. People think you just show up and they give you the room and all of a sudden somebody else is paying at the door. It's not so. It costs a lot of money to run events. And if that scares you, welcome to big business. Welcome to big business. And guys, a couple $1,000s to run a business is a joke for the amount of return you can get if you run your own event. The return off of running the meeting and then filling the meeting. What I'd say is before you want to run a meeting, learn how to fill a meeting. Before you fill a meeting, you have to basically have good meeting etiquette to begin with. How do you have good meeting etiquette? You show up ahead of time. You dress right. You remain positive. These are all things that you'd want to do to be able to then turn around and invite somebody. How do we invite? What I always do is say, hey, my job as a sponsor, as an upline, is to set the best example. But my job also is to inform you on what's going on. My job isn't to drag you. My job isn't to convince you. My job isn't to beat you up because you don't go. My job is just to let you know, hey, here's what's available. You can either plug in or you can't. Now, I know the people who plug in are the most successful. So if you want to be where the leaders are at, you have to physically be where the leaders are at. Doesn't that make sense? So rather than fly around the country and meet with each one of them, we can all gather together at the event once a week. Instead of trying to take each person you talk to and drive them to your leadership or try to drive them around, we can go to one event a week, bring everybody there. And what happens is there's something called power in numbers. When a bunch of people are in the room, and here's just a statistic that I learned in the meeting. When your meeting breaks 100 people, there's an 80% sign-up ratio. When a meeting breaks 100 people in the room, there's an 80% sign-up ratio for the guests coming in the room. Now, why is that? It's called social proof. Social proof. What people find is, obviously this is working, and obviously you can make money at it if 100 people are showing up in the room. So what is the goal? The goal is to get it to 100 plus. As you go up 100, it goes up by 5%. You get 500 people in the room, you basically have a 100% sign-up rate. Why? Because people are like, well, if there's 500 people here, obviously anybody can do it. I can make money. I'm looking around. So what it does is it gives you enough perspective to be able to meet everybody's expectation of, could I do this? Also, when you're at the event, you want to pay attention. One of the hardest things today is actually paying attention because we're all using our phone. We're probably using our phone right now. I'm using my phone right now. But pay attention to the meeting. One of the things I do is either take notes. That's a really good thing. You want to sit forward. You want to take notes. You want to pay attention to what's going on. You want to laugh at the jokes, even though they're corny a lot of times. I mean, they're bad. Some of them are really bad. But you want to play. Here's the thing. You want to play spectator the best way you can for the event, for the people around you. Hey, Kevin, how's it going? Hey, Wendy, how's it going? So this is just some of the things that you want to do to be able to be effective, build a business. So that's kind of my take on meetings.
Thank you. Thank you. Boy, I took notes again. So welcome, Mo and Gabriel and Sharon and Jacqueline. Awesome. Hi, Jacqueline. Hi.
Mike.
Hi. And um, so let's see, we have a question. The softball and basketball, Julie's saying she loves the softball and basketball analogy. Do you know what that is?
I think that was the softball or basketball analogy.
I'm
I
not
mean,
sure. Julie,
I can only think. My thing is the difference between amateurs and professionals.
mm-hmm.
Amateurs show up at the last minute, don't practice, may not have all the right equipment, and they try to wing it, and they'll just play the game for fun. Amateurs practice year round, show up, have everything together, and they're going in to win games, because winning games means winning more money. So are you playing to be an amateur? Are you playing to be a professional inside of your organization or what you're doing?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people today typed pro, and I said, "Are you a pro?"
Yep.
And Julie, if you could explain, did we guess what that was? Because neither of us have heard of that. But if you want to type more about that we'd like to hear that. Thank you for the likes and loves, everybody. If you're watching the replay, please type replay. If you're getting value, please hit share or tag friends in the comments. So, Jeff, I have a question for you. And that was real
Sure.
helpful about not only how to get people to, but how to put on events or consider being that responsible and that professional yourself, that you consider putting them on yourself. So what about if we go back to the promoting part,
Yep.
You're talking to your team and they come up with all these reasons and excuses like, oh gosh, I don't have the money now. I'm not high enough up in my team. I don't have enough, I'm not important enough to go. Can't get a babysitter. All the reasons that we hear. How
I mean,
you handle that?
basically as a leader, your job is to help people overcome their own excuses and sometimes their own ignorance. I love people who are like, what's the reason you want to get involved? I want to travel and I want control of my time. Great, you need to come to this event. Oh my gosh, it's too far. I'm like, really? So it's funny how we sabotage ourselves and sabotage our own success. That is where you learn how to do the business. You do not learn how to do the business at home. You don't learn how to do the business sitting, created a group. Awesome. So you don't learn how to do the business at home. You don't learn how to do the business in your car. You learn how to do the business at the events. So, I just ask, are you ready to become a professional? That's a question. The difference between a professional and amateur is the professionals are showing up and find ways. If there's 100 people in the room, that's another thing. If there's 100 people in the room, don't you think other people have figured this out? Somebody there has kids. Somebody there is coming from work. So let me tell you how some successful people that I know did this, because I've heard their stories. And that's why the stories are really good. I've got a friend who, they had 9 kids. They had 9 kids. Actually, my upline now has 10 at home, 10 kids at home. So you talk about babysitters and trying to figure things. I mean, they have a football team sitting at their house, a full squad, almost 11 people. If there's a babysitter, there is 11. If there's not, there's 10 kids at home, ranging, I think, from age 2 to 17. It's a madhouse, but how do you, if they can do it, you can do it. How do you figure that out? You just do. I have some people like, well, I can't leave my kid. And there's a I guess a problem inside a society called kid worshiping, where you have to be there every single second for every single minute of your kid, and you can't leave them alone. You have to tape everything they do. And what I can say is the long-term effects of that is showing right now in junior high and high school, where kids can't, be okay on their own. I just watched this great program on YouTube specifically, and this is why I share things. I watched this program on YouTube. 7-year-old kid spends 55 minutes one way by himself. The school system actually, and I'm not encouraging this in the United States. He lives in Japan. It's a different place, different culture. But just look at what happens. He travels 55 minutes. He gets up at 5 a.m., takes a shower, eats breakfast with his mom. His mom says, hey, we'll see you when you get home. He travels 10-minute walk to the train station, gets on the train, changes trains, gets off, has another 10-minute walk to work. The entire school system works this way. Guess how old he is? People are like 13. I'm like, he's 7. He's 7 years old. I think one of the things we've done is we've dumbed stuff down so much, and we put some people so reliant and so non-responsible for everything, is people are paralyzed. People are paralyzed. They can't even go brush their teeth by themselves without having a self-help group. If you want to build a business, you have to learn how to be responsible. You have to learn how to lead. You have to learn how to step out on your own. And you're going to have to help people overcome these excuses. Well, I don't have the money to get to the meeting. Well, do you have a DVD player? Yes. How many DVDs do you own? 6,000. Sell those. I know people that own VCR tapes still, and they don't own a VCR. I'm like, why are you keeping this crap? So people spend money on all kinds of things. I just challenge them. I look at them and I'm like, you have an Apple Watch, which is $500. You have an Apple phone, which is $900. You have an Apple iPad, which is another $900. You have a laptop. You have a custom bag. You have a custom bag. And what I mean by custom bag, you have a name brand bag that costs $100. You have $300 shoes on. You have rims on your car. If it's, I just look at stuff like that. I'm like, do you own a big screen TV? So what you're telling me is you own a big screen TV, but you don't own any residual income. I'm like, that's a problem. Do you think that's a problem? So what you have to do is you just kind of have to challenge people. Another thing is we make excuses for other people because we feel bad ourselves. We're like, man, we don't have the money. I can't talk anybody else into doing this. Well, you have to get to a point where you're okay. Here's the thing. People who succeed are going to spend money on the things. What most of us do, what 95%, the reason 95% of people are broke is they spend the majority of their money on what? Entertainment, a movie, a concert. I know people on my Facebook page that bitch, whine, and cry about how broke they are and how they can't do this, one, and the other thing. And then I see them at a concert in the front row, $400. People will spend, here's the thing, people will spend any amount of money to do things they like and figure it out. So the question is just figuring out what's worth it, what's important to you. So that's how I challenge people, is it's really good to know their dream, because then you can throw their dream in front of them when they throw out the excuse, right? They're like, I just can't afford this. So what you're saying is you can't afford to actually build that income to be home with your kids. You can't afford, to do this, to be able to be free permanently. And I've had to challenge people on all kinds of things. I had a friend, he had 6, 7 incomes, was working 3 part-time jobs. And, eventually he told me he couldn't come. He couldn't come to the event because, he was working. And I was like, don't you have 5 incomes? Yeah. I said, you have 5 incomes. I said, okay. Well, is this your main income? No. So it's a part-time job? Yes. I said, look, we're friends now. I said, just between you and me, I'm like, did you even ask your boss for time off? No. I said, okay, now we're getting somewhere. I said, you didn't ask your boss for time off. I said, is your boss a jerk? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so your boss is a jerk and you're just avoiding the conversation. You'd rather not go than have the conversation with him. I'm like, what's worst case scenario if you ask him and he says no and you go anyway? He's like, well, they can't fire me. And I'm like, could you call in sick? He's like, yeah, but I really don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, I'm just asking. So is there, and this is how I got him. I said, is there a person above him? Yes. Do you know him? Yes. Do you have a good relationship with him? Yeah. I said, would there be any chance that there would be a time throughout the week that you couldn't even ask the guy you don't like that harasses you, but you could ask this other guy just because it was the only time you could talk, and that guy would relay it to the guy you don't like? He's like, that is a great idea. I said, okay, you try that and then call me back and let me know how it works. Boom, solved the situation. He was on the trip. So you just kind of have to think through things with people. And, part of it is overcoming his objection. He ended up coming out. He was one of the solid people on the team, and we built an organization underneath him, and he had many, many people on his team coming to events. Would that have happened if I wouldn't have gotten him to the event? Probably not.
Mm-hmm. Great example. You have to kind of hold that vision until they can catch it themselves and call them on things and be creative. Yeah, think
Yep.
Another way. One door's closed, think another way that's open. And hello, I just want to welcome Claudia and Teresa and Kirsten and Tibor. And if you have a comment or a question, please type that in. We're going to round up in a few minutes. And Julie says the best high school graduation was when Madeline graduated last year.
Yep, she had her last one. Awesome.
And James, welcome. James is a member in the MLM Millionaire Club. So glad you're here. He's one of the star members that his company just was amazed at the progress once he decided to commit.
Congrats.
and Julie has another little success story. So another thing that you can do when you find an objection to I can't get to the event, or it's not worth the money, or can't find the time, is I know, the feel felt found. I know how you feel. I felt that same way too, and this is what I did. This is how I got out of this, or tell another person's story. So
Yep.
any other thoughts, questions, comments? Please type that in. If you know someone who can value from this, please hit share. Let other people get tips on how to get people to events. And like Jeff said, this is going to make the most money for people. So know how to promote events. Think of creative ways to help. A takeaway. Who got a takeaway today that you can commit to yourself to putting into practice this week? Whether it's getting somebody to a local meeting, an event, getting your team there, and teaching them how to get people to a local meeting or event, or a big destination one, which is a lot of what we've been talking about. What's one tip that you got? I'd love to hear that, if you got a takeaway today that you will use in your business. Just a heads up for next week. I hold these every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central Time here, Facebook Live, and I'm speaking as a coach and also a body-mind therapist. Next week, we're going to start a new series called Real Conversations, which is a method that I created and trademarked for self-coaching, yourself and others, even your family or your team. But it's how to get from problem to success real fast in 4 steps of identifying the problem or the thing that you're stuck with, the emotion behind it, the need behind it, and then the solution to that. That can happen in minutes. If you feel stuck making your calls, you don't have to wait, days or weeks to get out of a funk. You can do this in minutes for yourself. Learn these 4 steps. So we're going to be talking about that next week. Thank you for the likes and loves, everybody. Any last comments? We'd love to hear comments or questions about this topic, about promoting events or creating them, or any other questions about network marketing. Love to have your thoughts or questions. We'll just give you a minute to do that. Jeff, any other closing thoughts from you?
Events are everything. It's a 52-week commitment. I kind of tell people, I said, look, if you treat your business like a job, would you take a day off or take a week off? I mean, really, you're taking a week off, because if your event's once a week, you're taking a week off from your business. Would you take a week off of work if you had something else to do, like take out the trash, or, oh my gosh, this week, the house was dirty, blah, 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 blah. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Paul Estridge is watching. Thanks for watching. Paul Belinsky's on. Hi guys, how you doing? So, it's a commitment, and most people just don't commit to anything anymore. I mean, people aren't committed to relationships. People aren't committed to doing the right thing. So it's like that commitment level, the discipline you have towards work. I say, most people do show up to work even when they don't want to. So I said, if you're showing up to work when you're sick, I said, do you go to work when you're sick? Yeah. Do you go to work when you're tired? Yeah. Do you go to work even though the car has an issue? Yeah. Why? Well, because if I don't go, I don't get paid. I'm like, do you understand the same thing is true in your business? If you don't go, you don't get paid. They're like, yeah, but I don't have anybody coming this week. I said, that's thinking like an employee. That's staying broke. That's not how a business entrepreneur thinks. The business entrepreneur has to think like, I have to go every week to set the example. It's all about being an example when it comes to a business. At a job, it's all about being a number. You have the numbers to basically go through. So that's something that you're just going to want to, roll through and do, and think about it from that point of view. It's a 52-week commitment. If you wouldn't take off a week of work for that, I mean, some people go to work with their eyes bleeding and their nose running, and, they have 116-degree fever and blisters all over their face, and they'll still show up to work. Why? Because they're looking for that, that nice, $60, $100 for the day. I'm like, if you'll go to work under those circumstances and you apply that exact same reasoning to build your business, you will absolutely dominate and wipe this thing out. And most people here's the thing, most people never get challenged, and most people never get told that that's what it takes. Too much of our industry talks about, well, all you have to do is put a link on somebody's page. All you have to do is show up once a year. All you have to do is just buy this product once and everything else happens. Guys, it's not like that. If you want to build a business, it's going to take some work. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some energy. And you need to get around someone who's succeeding and find out what they're doing and do what they do. That's the easiest way to do it. Find out what they're doing, and kind of, as my friends say, get in their back pocket. You want to basically be their, you want to be their assistant, kind of like a caddy on a golf course. You want to be there for all the decisions. You want to see how they're making decisions, why they're making decisions, and consult with that person before you go do anything. It's night or day. If you don't have that person, directly with you that you can talk to, what I would suggest is finding a coach or a mentor. That's why Bess has been so successful. There's other people out there who just need that help.
Thank you. Yeah, Jeff and I are both coaches and mentors, and people have seen us both for private work, and we're available to do that. So it is a lot of work, but it's fun work, isn't it? Because you're working for yourself. And I know that I have, there have been times when I held calls for my students and my clients, and I was sick as a dog, but the show had to go on. I showed up. Yep. Or, I just had a trauma and was on a call because if you want to be a rich person, don't act like a poor person. Don't do poor habits. Do rich habits. And Julie has a couple of stories she's left here in the comments, which you guys can read. And Julie says that leading by example is critical activity number 7. So yes, do it first before you ask other people to do it. Lead by example. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Central Time, Real Conversations, how to get past a problem to a solution in minutes. It really works, you guys. Been using that for 20 years with myself, friends, clients, students. So love to share that with you then. Thank you all for being here. Please share with those you know can get value. Thank you, Jeff, for taking time out of your schedule. Jeff and I are doing something wonderful and new. Lunchtime, MLM lunchtime leadership shows every noon, every weekday, Monday through Friday, here at Facebook Live. Go to the Facebook group, MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, and request membership there because you can see the show, the replays, and the free book that goes along with that, and get community support there for leadership. So, thank you for the likes and love. Hello, Mark. Love to you. Thank you for watching. Going to go now and put on the replay for everybody. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Hey, guys.